Mayor Carnevale, we're ready, sir, when you are.
Christina, good afternoon. I'd like to call the study session meeting of March 13th, 2024 to order. City Clerk, may we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ross.
Here.
Mayor Carnevale.
Here. City Manager, are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, thank you. City Clerk, would you please read the statement of participation? Are there any members that wish to provide public comment at this time?
Public comment is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are within the City Council's jurisdiction but not on the agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, the City Council may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda but may briefly respond to statements made or ask a question for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response from staff to questions raised during public comment or request that a matter be agendized for a future meeting. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. If you are a member of the public and you wish to address the City Council, please complete a request to speak form available at the entrance and submit it to the City Clerk. You will be called upon at the appropriate time. If you have materials or other items to present to the members of the City Council, please do not approach them. All materials shall be presented to the City Clerk for distribution. And Mayor, we do have one request to speak. If Bob McKechnie and Karen Riley would please join us at the podium.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Bob McKechnie. I'm with the Cathedral City Peace Initiative, and I handed out a paper outlining all the different things we're doing this year. And we're happy to be doing these things. It's a little overwhelming, and sometimes I get overwhelmed with all this, but I've chosen it all, so I guess I'm responsible. I have to say that our mission statement is we are creating a culture of peace. And the vision statement is, we have a vision statement, is we envision a world where all conflict is resolved in nonviolent ways. So this gets discouraging for me a little bit. If I look at the news, even for a few minutes, I think, oh, why bother, you know? But I have to say that one of your employees just was so helpful. I was quite discouraged. We went to lunch, Ryan and me, Ryan Hunt, and I was expressing my complaints, and he just lifts the spirit, that guy. It just was really wonderful, and I got over myself and all my stuff and resumed the work because it's important work. We have to say something. So I hope that you'll commend Ryan, and also I think you should give him a raise. So talk to Charlie.
I'm sure
So there's another one. I created a workshop where, you know, we have 3 things: world peace, inner peace, and peace on the streets of Cathedral City. So we're being intentional about that, thinking about it, talking about it. One thing is we went to the 3 senior living places and we gave a little workshop on how a senior citizen can avoid being a victim of violence, different things they can do to just reduce the possibility. And I was going to do that myself, and then I thought, well, I'll ask one of the policemen if he'll go with me. And I noticed when I went to Tierra del Sol and I said, well, have a policeman. And she said, oh, good, they'd rather have the policeman than me on this subject, and then you can understand that. So John Enos, he is a true gentleman. He helped me in all 3 places, and he was excellent. He really was. And he was also helpful to me in developing ideas. We were talking about being, instead of defending ourselves against violence and crime, how we could think about it would be, we'd be intentional. We'd assert ourselves in the name of a peaceful city. And that was our thought. Well, so we started to talk about that. We decided in a month or 2, we're going to meet again and we can see if we can develop ideas along those lines. So even though I'm discouraged, I'm also thrilled to be one, still alive and still doing something that even if no one else thinks it's important, I do. So there you have it. And I really love that it's in Cathedral City.
Thank you,
Karen
Bob.
has something to say. She's my colleague and partner.
Thank you, Karen Riley. My portion of the Peace Initiative is to work with students, so we are working on a program with elementary school students to create peace polls at every school, so we'll be working on that, and extending the events of World Peace Day to a Peace Week. So we'll be doing activities. We've already worked with the school to have every student create some sort of art for the World Peace Day exhibit that we do. So we are working on that, and we're very excited about that, and very excited to be working with Bob. So thank you.
Karen, can you share any ideas what you have with, can you share any ideas what the children have as far as Peace Week or Peace?
Well, the one school that we've talked to, the elementary school in Cathedral City, every student is going to come to the library, and we're going to do a little session about peace building, and then we're going to actually do art projects. So we'll have, that's like 600 kids that we'll be working with.
Fantastic.
So that's the first one. And then the Peace Pole will work with artists to get those created out of recycled materials, of course. A peace pole, yeah, there's one at the library. Yeah, no, not a peace pool. That's next year. No, peace pole. So we'll be doing those at every school. And they say, may peace prevail throughout the world. That's what they're for.
Magnificent work. Thank you. Thanks,
I
Bob.
want to
Thanks,
say
Karen.
one more thing.
No, you can't.
If that is for right, I couldn't
You
believe
can.
it.
Go ahead. It's all
All
right.
right. Christmas 2022, we had a billboard on Dinah Shore, and it got a lot of attention. The only thing that annoyed me, it was like when you were going toward Palm Springs, you saw that billboard. So we're working on another one. We had more money than I thought. We've raised all the money, but we're going to have another one. And it'll be when you come into Cathedral City, I hope, and it'll say, "This is the billboard." And it's exactly what it was. Although we're in discussions about maybe we should say 3% of the U.S. military budget.
Get back to the
end
microphone.
Starvation on Earth. And that was a billboard on Dinah Shore that my other group.
We can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the billboard on Dinah Shore that my other group, World Beyond War for California, paid for that one, and I liked that one a lot too. So, thanks, folks.
Be sure and put your face picture above it, too. The complete billboard with your face.
My face?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
we won't be doing that, no. I mean, I have my limits. Thank you.
thank you, Bob. Do we have anyone else?
And no other request to speak.
All right, thank you. City Attorney, will you please read the closed session item?
We're happy to do that, Mayor. We have two items on closed session today. They're both conferences with your labor negotiators. The first one has to do with non-represented employees. The second one has to do with the city manager.
Okay.
Do not
Thank you.
see any other members of the public here at this time, so I'm assuming there's no comments from the public, and if that's the case, you can recess into closed session.
Thank you. At this time, the City Council will recess to closed session. Everybody here? Oh, Rita's not here yet. Come on, one more. All right. And Mayor, when Councilmember Lamb comes out, I'll just do a brief closed session update so we can get that out of the way. Absolutely. At this time, we will reconvene the study session meeting. City Attorney, is there anything to report out of closed session?
The City Council did meet with labor negotiator with regard to both items 3A and 3B on your agenda. You completed those discussions. You gave direction to the labor negotiators, but there was no reportable action on either of those items at this time beyond that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Study session, item A, follow-up discussion on public funding. Mr. City Manager, do we have a staff report?
Thank you. Mayor, members of the council, Ann Ambrose, Assistant City Manager, will provide this discussion. It's a follow-up to your meeting of January 10th where we discussed the uses of the Public Art Fund and some of the challenges we're facing with that. And we had some ideas that came out of that, which she now has followed up with the Arts Commission, and we're here to report back.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. So as the City Manager mentioned, we were last before you on this item on January 10th, looking at direction and seeking direction on the use of the Art and Public Places Fund. As we all know, the Art and Public Places Fund is funded from in lieu fees from development that meet certain criteria. And at question was whether it was an appropriate use or we should continue to look at using the fund to fund educational or performance type activities, as those type of activities seem to have brought a lot of controversy in the past. So during that study session, I presented to you a series of policy options to consider, which also included options to establish a budget outside of the Art and Public Places Fund and put into the general fund for these non-acquisition type activities. And so we felt that we had direction to council or from council to look at establishing a grants program similar to what the City Council already has with your community grants. An application process would need to be developed. The Public Arts Commission would review and present to the City Council the applications that they would recommend to be awarded grants, and then the council would consider the approval of the final grant awards. Secondly, would be creating a budget for the Public Arts Commission similar to what we have provided for the Parks and Community Events Commission. And this would allow the Commission to recommend some self-directed activities, whether that's art exhibit, sponsoring a performance or a musical performance or whatever that would be. And then as always, those items and those approvals for funds would come back to the City Council. And then thirdly was a maintenance budget. And that was part of our discussion back in January, being that the in lieu fees seemed to be more appropriate for capital type projects or acquisition projects, that it was probably more appropriate for the maintenance budget to also be budgeted out of the general fund. And so at last month's Public Arts Commission meeting, I briefed the Arts Commission on the last City Council meeting, and the Commission was supportive of these three proposals. The Commissioners did request that if there's any direction that the Council could provide as to what type of events or programs or what you would like to see the Commission bring forward for non-acquisition related activities, so performances or music or any criteria for those kind of events that the Commission would want to consider requesting funding for. They're also just seeking any of that guidance from the City Council. And so in looking at this proposal, what our proposal would be to the council is to create a general fund budget in the 24-25 fiscal year. So not doing anything since we're already coming to the end of this current fiscal year. But in next year budget, $20,000 for a public arts grant program, $10,000 for a public art commission budget, which is the same as what PACE has, and then move $30,000 for maintenance of the city's public art collection. And that is, Deanna has a contractor that'll come and clean the art once a year, and if there's any minor repairs that we have to make, that generally covers those type of expenses. And then currently, what that would leave is $237,791 and change available in the Art and Public Places Fund, available for public art acquisition. And one of the other things that we maintain within that fund is a reserve balance. So we generally have $100,000 set aside that, as I understand the past, has been council policy in case there was a damage or car ran into one of our art pieces. If we needed to replace something, that has been set aside. So we could also, if need to, look at whether that reserve policy needs to continue to be that high, or we just keep it as is for now. And this would go align with our goals of fiscal stability and sustainability. And with that, if council approves this act, we will bring forward the finalization of this program to the council at a later meeting with the application process, with the ask for approval for the budget amendment. But today we're just seeking your direction to see if we're on the right path and if you have any comments towards it. And that concludes my presentation.
Councilmember Ross, please. Okay, Nancy.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Couple questions.
Yes.
So if we went with the policy that you had where you're recommending as representing, that we would give them a fixed amount, what happens to the taxation that comes out of larger bills that money goes to arts?
There is no taxation, so it's a fee.
Okay. What happens to that fee that would they currently get from larger bills?
It would continue to remain in the Art and Public Places Fund, and those.
Continue collecting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we would still be collecting them, and that fund would continue to fund acquisitions. So, like the planned art piece for the Dream Homes Park, or the art piece that is planned for Ramon and Landau new intersection, and any other acquisition or mural or art piece that would be put throughout the city.
So then fiscally coordinating or comparing, how would that be different than from option 5, where we actually took in more money by lowering the construction level threshold to 2,000 to 6,650 square feet? What would that amount be?
We haven't done that analysis yet. Staff is currently going to have someone do that analysis to see what the other jurisdictions are doing, see what would be the appropriate level of, if we wanted to put it on a smaller footprint of building, since most of our new construction has been smaller. What that would mean if the council adopted this policy is that there would be more funds available for acquisition. And this would be just a separate budget for any type of programming. But that budget and the money that we collect through the Art and Public Places Fund from the in lieu fees would only be used for acquisition and creation of art in the city, and not programming.
So we can actually kind of have a potpourri of choices here, and we can choose more than one?
This is a study session, so staff is just seeking your direction on how you would like to proceed forward.
We already chose an option. So what you're looking at is the background, saying, well, what we've already gone through before. So unless you want to reopen that, then you don't have to.
Well, when they put these forward, it does beg the question, what would option number 5 actually bring in
I think
revenue?
what we gave direction last time for staff to explore option number 5 separately.
Yes.
And I think what you were just told was that that's not what you have in front of you today,
Right.
that will be coming as a separate item.
So it'd be really hard to make any other decisions until that information was in front of me. That's my
Right. No, you.
Right.
But right now, that funding would all be in the Art and Public Places Fund, and so what we're seeking direction on is, again, using general fund dollars for any of the programmatic activity versus the Art and Public Places Fund, because of the concerns of the appropriateness of that use for programs versus
creation of more permanent art in the community.
Right. And in terms of the
the broader view and long-term, I'm very comfortable with this presentation and the way it's delineated, because it's my bias that developers' fees be used for the enhancement of art in public places and fixtures that enhance the city, and that a separate fund for activities that the Arts Committee, deems necessary. And this is the Arts Commission has done a phenomenal job in elevating activities and art pieces throughout the city. But having this separate, I think, is the appropriate way to go moving forward. So I'm comfortable with this option.
Councilmember Rosser, any more questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Councilmember Gregory, please.
Right. So thank you for the presentation and first for continuing to clarify this and bring it forward. So what I hear you're seeking from us tonight is just whether we believe that this, as was just shared, this three-part, some money for grants, some money for an ongoing budget, which could be given out to another, but could also be used for events that the commission puts on itself or is partners with, and then some money for maintenance.
Yes.
And I appreciate that, because I think in part of the discussion initially there was discussion about it all being paid out, and then this was added, which I think is makes a lot of sense that there be some money, much like the Parks and Community Events has, for the commission to put on. The other part that you asked, so I agree with that, and I think that this is a very reasonable layout that is here. So the other part I hear you asking is this continuing question we had before as to what kind of things is the council looking for the Arts Commission to fund. And I have to smile, because I thought, well, how many times have we talked about this? But I will just speak for myself and say, well, I think what I would like to see come forward are expressions of art which could be music, could be a play, could be any of those types of things, spoken word. I mean, there's just endless amounts, but expressions of art that are available to the public here in Cathedral City, that are special in the sense that they're just not commercially available, or someone else in Cathedral City or the immediate vicinity is doing a similar thing. I think those are the two things that I most like to see. What we've been hearing being considered is things like paying for parts of other people's events that are not going to be in the city, like transportation for a group to go somewhere else. Where we've had trouble before, so some things I would not like to see would be paying awards to someone for doing some type of art. I think doing the art is great, and that it's great if the city can help with that and help with the display, whether that means a show or a place to display or something. But I'm not a fan of giving out, especially cash or cash equivalent awards. I mean, maybe if we had a plaque or something with a star on it, that I'm not so much against that. But in the past, we kind of got down the rabbit hole on giving out gift cards and those kind of things, which are basically cash equivalents.
And there's already language within the ordinance that I think prohibited the use of the Art and Public Places Fund for any of those kind of uses, but
right,
we
but
could
this would
certainly
be
consider
separate.
that.
So I would like to make sure we continue that it's being directed more towards the actual, because this is art education.
Yeah.
We still
Putting
have
it on, or
we
the
still have the
supplies.
physical art. So,
Yeah.
so this is, to me, it's just physical art is physical art. Now this is like art being expressed. So I think I would like to see when things do come forward that they be focused that. Now I know that's vague, because it's meant to be vague, because that's why one of the reasons why we have this commission is so that they go out and they solicit and find good artists that are wanting to express their art, and that we can help But those are to me, it needs to be something then that's here in Cathedral City, has meaning to Cathedral City, the residents or businesses or visitors to a certain degree, but in Cathedral City, and not necessarily where we're paying to send our local Cathedral City artists somewhere else to perform somewhere else, or even though they're local Cathedral City artists, but if they're expressing their art somewhere else, I don't believe that, and to me, that's really what this fund is for, or for paying any kind of cash or cash equivalent prizes.
Okay.
Very well put. Thank you. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, my suggestion is also I do not have a problem with creating a budget for the Arts Commission equivalent to the PACE Commission of $10,000, that they can actually utilize it if they tell us what, as the Art Commission, or as the PACE Commission does, let us know what they're using the money for. And that would, I believe, I was told that would have to come up from the general fund. Is that correct? Instead of the Public Arts Fund.
That is what's being proposed, is to, instead of funding those activities out of the Art and Public Places Fund, that we would seek a budget adjustment to create a budget in the general fund for those activities.
And if we do that, they can utilize the money as they wish, as long as they provide us, or they let council know as to what they're going to do.
Not as they wish.
They wouldn't have separate authority to spend it. It would still be a recommendation. We would need to send, again, I think, set some policies of how that money would be utilized and how it would be authorized.
So I don't have a problem with that. I agree. And also I agree with Councilmember Gregory that I believe that art should be special pieces. For instance, Vegas right now, they have the Sphere. And everyone takes pictures in front of the Sphere. They go by, that's what they do. And it brings in a lot of people. It's a huge attraction for the city right now. Now, when you go to Chicago, they have, I believe, the Mirror out there that people just go out there and take. The Bean. So they take pictures of that. And I believe that if we can come up with save money and come up with a huge, or not huge, but just a special art piece within our city, to do that, I think that will be amazing for our city. Somewhere where people can say, I have to go take a picture. For instance, Palm Springs came up with Maryland. So everyone wants to go take pictures of Maryland. And the most famous picture is, they stand underneath and take pictures of Luna. So, but that's what I would like to see, some special. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ross, or Mayor Pro Tem Ross, I apologize. Thank you.
So, I guess would this preclude school activity art?
I guess working with school districts to do some kind of an art program or thing.
Our high school or our middle school or our elementaries, would they in any way be precluded from taking advantage of funding that the Arts Commission may have, of course, upon approval by them, and then us?
I think it just depends on what the criteria are, that the council want us to establish. So I think we've heard one council member say that, the requests that we've had from the schools have been traditionally to fund transportation out of the area. We want direction on whether you want to approve those kind of activities, because we don't want to keep bringing things in front of you to that, isn't going to be something approved. We don't want to waste your time and the commission's time if that ultimately is a policy decision that as a council you want to make. I see opportunities to work with students on art projects that include the students in the creation, or maybe there's things within the city to help support that. But again, that's part of the direction I think the commission is seeking of, if they're going to be setting criteria for a grant program, or as we set policy to propose to you for the use of those funding, what does that include? And so is it only activities that are in the city? Is it, that you want to support educational activities that the school district isn't supporting? That's, I think, a little bit of the direction that we're looking towards. I don't think it in any way precludes that if they wanted to apply for a grant or apply for, if there was some activity in the community that partnered with the school district. So one of the topics we discussed last night at the Arts Commission was, we're talking about the Ocotillo Bench Project. So for a long time, there's been discussion about painting the benches at Ocotillo Park. The PAC is just about ready with the process they want to do for that and establishing a budget so that we can bring it back to the City Council. But in that discussion, in talking with PACE and also talking with Public Works, we're looking at what are opportunities that we have to engage the community. So partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, potentially partnership with the Scrap Gallery, so that we can have opportunities for the young people that are served by that neighborhood park to be part of the creation of the art in that park. So that's one way where we're looking at including and involving students, both from the neighborhood and just the families that utilize that park, in possibly being part of the creation of art in that park.
Was the commission on board with that?
Yes, 100%.
So what I remember back, and every year my memory is failing more than the year before, I swear. But there used to be something called the data program. Do you guys remember that at the high school? And there was a problem with the data program. The kids did online art. Was that what they did? Did they do online art?
It's digital arts and the Digital Arts and Technology Academy, and Stone James is a volunteer with that program.
That's right. And
currently.
that was something that I know that the kids at the school really liked. I don't think any of us were opposed to it. But then it came time for awards. And now who's going to buy the awards? I think we bought the pizza, is how I remember it, is maybe we bought the pizza and they had an award ceremony. But you know, it starts to get a little heavy, a little convoluted with all of these different segments going. And what none of us want are to spend 20 minutes at a council meeting talking about pizza. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when we do look at this again and we decide on whether we break into a subcommittee or however you want that to be, that we do get some definition of what this is specifically going to mean, and think about the effects that will have on the groups in our city that want to participate in art, just like you were talking about citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Lamb.
Yes, and this is just anecdotal, but years and years ago, when I was on the Arts Commission, we did a program with the Palm Springs Unified School District has a director of arts, visual and performing arts, and it happened to be Louisa Castrodale at that point. But we did a joint project. It was called Our Community in Black and White. And what the Arts Commission did, we purchased, this is how old I am and how long ago it was, we actually had little cameras that you held up to your face. They were a little plastic, and the children who wanted to participate kind of ran around to all the different parks, and they took black and white photos of our community, and then there was an art show that we participated in with some teachers and the Arts Commission, and we picked out the 50 and had an art show. But that was a clear plan, like you're saying, that where the community supported children's work to highlight Cathedral City. And we had it right down here, you know, in front of the city center. So I know what you're saying, that it gets muddled when we're doing other things. But that's just an example, anecdotal example of something where it just really worked well. So.
One of the other areas that the commission talked about last night is one of the commissioners had been talking to the library director about doing an art show at the library. So during the Desert Open Studios, a separate community member coordinated an art show of local artists while that month was going on. But for over the course of a weekend, there were about 6 or 7 artists that were locally based artists that didn't have studios, that maybe this was one of their first art shows. And the commission would like to engage in something like that again. The library would give them the room for free. It's pretty no cost kind of an event. And one of the things, and this was Commissioner Travis that brought up, was reaching out to the schools and allowing student artists that if they have art that they wish to sell, that they have an opportunity to display it and potentially sell their art. But giving an opportunity for those artists that maybe aren't well established yet, or don't have gallery space and aren't represented, and give them their first entree into being able to display their art and having people consider that and purchase it. So those are, I think, some of the areas that the commission has talked about. I mean, this is all still more about the kind of art pieces, but I think if it's a musical performance or some other kind of performance or a theatrical thing, to be able to support that, I think that's what they're, just seeking more direction on those kind of activities for the use of the general fund portion of the budget if approved.
That was a really cool art show, and it was more than 6 or 7 people. I bet you there was a dozen anyway.
Yeah.
It was packed, and it was really fun. It was nice.
And I guess one of the artists that was in that show, according to Commissioner Travis, was one of the artists that had painted one of the benches outside the library too. So it was a nice kind of full circle moment for her.
And if this goes through, the $60,000 a year that's placed into this account, is that renewable or added to at the end of the year? So if they use 30, would they just get 30 the next year, or would you
No,
put 30?
it would be 30. It would be a set budget for the year. So
A set budget, so
yeah.
if they used 40, they get 20 the following year?
Correct.
Or what have you?
Yeah,
like that.
in most of the general fund budgets, we don't roll it over unless there's some, like if we had an open PO or something like that. So at the end of the year, you just get your new budget for the next year. What's been a little different with the Art and Public Places Fund is just it's cumulative, and so it just builds from whatever the new fees are that were, or fees that were collected in the course of that year.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it would be a set budget of $60,000 going forward.
Okay. Along with, yeah, sure, let me just finish here. Along with council, I think this is a pretty good thing to do. It adds a little bit more to the Public Arts Commission. It gives them a little bit more flexibility, how to do smaller things, little things, interact with the children or different ideas that they come about. So I think it's a great idea. So, Nancy, yes?
So I'm particularly curious about the $60,000 amount because there will be times that they will need more. And I'm thinking of this side of the bridge, this side of the Date Palm Bridge. If we want to do a significant bronze piece, if we want to do a Native American piece, we're not going to get that for $60,000.
But that isn't going to come out of the
would be art.
$60,000. That'll come out of the $237,000.
Okay, so that would be considered one of the pieces. That
Yeah.
we buy.
Programmatic.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Program versus acquisition, I would say. So if somebody does or recommends a mural or a mosaic or a statue or something like that, that would come out of the Art and Public Places
And even
Fund.
the benches that you're talking about, that's still.
Yeah, the
that's
benches,
still
the painting of the
other-
benches.
That's
Mhm.
still the other, that's not this
Yeah.
fund. So.
But what I think Mayor Pro Tem was getting at, let's say they used 40,000, they had another project where they needed another 10. What would, they would have to come back to council and see if we could award more?
I think it's just anything that comes out of the general fund. It's the whole balancing of that general, the budget
Gotcha.
that covers most of our costs, that if there was a recommendation to come back to you, then staff would bring back, a recommendation and balance that to the other needs of the city too.
Okay.
Or one or more council members could kick in community assistance, which has happened with
Sure.
PACE towards the end of the fiscal year,
Yeah.
kick in, they're a few $100s short.
Yeah. We had PACE, chair of the PACE Commission last night because we were talking about two park-related activities. So one, the Axio Bench project, and the other, starting to look at an acquisition process for the Dream Homes Park. And what was really nice is that there seems to be good synergy between the two commissions of, we have these opportunities of sort of an art-related project, park-related project, and how the two commissions can work together to further those goals. So it was I think there was some good discussion last night and some good energy of how to work together to really do something neat for both of these efforts.
Council, anything else? City Clerk, do we have anyone that would like to speak or any letters?
Mayor, I did not receive any request to speak forms, and we currently do not have any members of the public in the meeting.
Thank you. This is a presentation for discussion only and direction. There's no formal action required. Item B, Gregory S. Pettis Foundation of Life and Fencing. Mr. City Manager, do we have a staff report?
We do. Kevin Biersack is here to go over this item with you, and there are some materials in your packet that you may want to refer to as he discusses through this. What I think it's important for you all to know, any of these choices that you make fit within the amount that you already approved last fall for this. So really what we just need to take a look at is questions of taste, I suppose, which fencing you like the best, what color scheme, things like that. So Kevin?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, staff. As Charlie said, good Lord willing, the creek don't rise, there is no additional cost impact. Great intro. So these are just the dates we've been to you over this past year to talk about the Fountain of Life. So just for you and the general public, wanted to highlight those dates and what happened on those dates. So in your packet, we've identified 4 different options for the fence surrounding the main art pieces, and we'll get to that in a few moments. The minimum recommended height is 42 inches. We could go higher, 48 inches, but that would be the minimum recommended height. And the material planned to be used would be a powder-coated cast or wrought iron. So tied to the pictures that you see, it's not exactly that, but that's the kind of design that we're soliciting your feedback on. But it would be cast or wrought iron. As a means of comparison, there's actually 20 colors in the Fountain of Life. These are the 12 most prominent colors that we've included. And so we will talk about colors and swatches and then the complement of that to the concrete. So we're seeking recommendation on the design and the color palette. As a reminder, in all its glory, the Fountain of Life. So these first 4 pictures are a depiction, and if you notice, especially in the other 3, it's more of a vertical. We're not looking for horizontal from a standpoint of little critters being able to get through those fences. But likewise, this one is a little bit of horizontal because we like what we have over at the amphitheater. So if we could piggyback on something like this and be complementary to that, that was the option 1. And these options are not necessarily in any order for these 4. We're just soliciting your feedback. Option number 2, you can see from outside in our paseo on the upper deck on the 2nd floor. And once again, it's more vertical oriented. Option number 3, one of the things we wanted to point out from a risk standpoint on this, if you notice, there is a top bar because we don't want anything pointy. Because from a risk standpoint, we don't want to hurt parts or people. And then in the original conceptual design that was provided back in the fall, this would tie back to that theme of, once again, it's vertical. Not tied to this effort, if this or any of these options could happen, maybe later under another effort through Art in Public Places, there could maybe be art attached to the fence, similar to like what was done with the Ophelia Bringus Bridge. So is it a good point to stop and talk about fencing and then solicit some thoughts?
Council, let me see. Okay. I'm not, let me get out of here.
And if you ask me to go back, I'm going
Mayor
to
Pro
need
Tem
Christina's
Ross,
help.
Was that did you put it there, or was that from last time?
No, just now.
Okay.
So I'm not, personally, I'm not super keen on the Cathedral City Community Amphitheater because it's really important to be able to sit outside the fence and look in. And this really restricts how much you can see.
And you are correct, that is a disadvantage from a staff standpoint. That's an advantage.
Okay.
But we
We're
agree.
doing it for the citizens, right? Okay. The second one is okay. It means just generic. I like the third one better. That's a little taller because I see people hopping the fence all the time, and I think if we could have it a little bit taller, but you could still easily see in and see the beauty of the fountain and all its regalia.
Did I hear 48 inches as a possibility when I
Size,
heard taller?
size matters. Okay. And then the last thing, and this is because I am not particularly artistic, and I'll take the brunt for this one, is I like the Diablo because it's somewhat the same color as City Hall and Pickford, and I like that cohesiveness.
Okay, that's a color.
That's the color. I know,
Okay.
but I'm just getting it all out right now.
You're just
I
getting
got
it all out right
And
now.
now I'm done.
Okay, well, Diablo, that is an option because we do have, once again, some thoughts from a staff standpoint on what some may be, but we do want,
And I'm not so keen on adding extra art pieces because they're already there to see an art piece. We just don't need more.
Oh, and that, I just wanted to tie back to when we had talked about that to refresh your memory. That is a separate effort. That is not part of this, and that could come later. And we wouldn't want to hold up our progress. For example, this week we're in the vault. I'm not in the vault, it's the collective we. So this week we're in the vault, and we're proceeding, but we would not want to hold anything up.
Council Member Gutierrez.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. I'm also in agreement with Mayor Pro Tem Ross here. Option number 2 is what I like the most. Option number 1 will definitely impair the visibility of the art. Option number 2 is exactly what we have here at the corridor here at City Hall.
He really means 3. He's just saying number 2.
No,
That's number 2. Oh, that's the one you want? Oh, that's the one you like?
this
That's what I thought, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I like the one below, yeah.
So, but one little twist to this, I would probably also would like to think about actually inserting the animals that you have, inserts that you have on 4 every, just like it is here, every 4th, 5th panel. That would just give a little bit of a, you can say, it will look a little bit better, I believe. So just a combination of number 2.
And for where we're at, we would just do the plain stuff right now. So the animal thing we could do as, and maybe whether it's art or not, we could look at doing that later as well. I mean, that was just a depiction from what Verde provided us, and that would be a good option to look at. And it would take away from some of those vertical lines. So am I hearing an option 3 and then an option 2?
I have an option 3.
That's what I heard. An option, yes, an option 3 and an option 2.
Yes, and 42 inches is pretty high because when you go higher, it will definitely disrupt the view of the art pieces. So I think 42 inches I think that's fairly high. Now, if somebody wants to climb, it doesn't matter whether it's 5 feet or 7 feet, someone will climb over it. So sometimes it's not it doesn't stop people from doing so. So definitely.
So I'm hearing don't go higher than the 42 inches. That's
40
high enough.
42 is high enough for me.
High enough.
And the color we can discuss a little later.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Gregory.
Thank you for bringing this forward to us.
Certainly.
So I actually like what we'll call option 2, also the same type of railing we have up here at 42 inches. I worry going higher than 42 inches, we're going to look like we're at the zoo and we've enclosed this fountain. And I don't know why we would do that because, as has been pointed out, and I think is 100% correct, you want something that's not necessarily easily stepped over. But at that point, you know, you can make it as high as you want and people can still get in. So
I included the term minimum just because we didn't want to go lower, but we weren't necessarily promoting higher.
No,
But
so I think
we just
42,
wanted
which
to
I
get it out
assume is
there.
like what is out here, looking past is a normal railing height. I think that's plenty high. And the reason I like the animal idea, but I don't necessarily like the prefab pressed animals. I think if we go with option 2 and we do it, that'll give the Arts Commission an opportunity to come back and look at if they want to, either this year or 10 years from now, have maybe some iron custom pieces made that would go along with that would actually add more art
So
to the
back
art.
to Mayor Pro Tem's comment, maybe something simple because we don't want to take away from
Right. And
all
something
of the
simple for
board.
now, but I would not precluding that something could be then added to it as a separate project.
Okay.
That would actually maybe be an art project. So that would be my preference. I agree with Mayor Pro Tem, although I could see continuity in design from number 1. It does kind of block, even if it at 42 inches, that design blocks the view, and you do want to be able to sit on a bench and to see it. And I don't like number 3 at all, unfortunately, because of the pointingness. Even though it's inside, to me it gives a wrong impression of like a secure facility type thing, and that's not the feel that I get from the art piece myself. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lamb.
Right, and I agree too. After, I think I at first was interested in the first one with the community amphitheater because I
amphitheater
like the
type
continuity of
look.
that. But I agree that it really would block the Fountain of Life. So after careful consideration and good listening skills, I like the second option. And ultimately, I think if the Arts Commission would love to do something where it had these figurines that would kind of highlight the Fountain of Light, that would be lovely going forward. And as far as the color, the less obtrusive, the better, you know, which
Okay.
would be Diablo or something kind of gentle.
So was that an option 2, or are the pointed ones in option 3 that are covered? Option 2, just want to make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I think Councilmember Gutierrez was spot on number 2 with those plaques there, but I was kind of thinking something more out of the box. How many of those plaques we think would be around there? 5 or 6?
We thought in them maybe it could be as many, depending upon what, maybe 8, like 4 and 4, depending upon tied to the circular. Keep in mind, as far as the footprint is concerned with respect to what is there, we would be using the same circular where, you know, from a concrete standpoint, which is part 2. When we pull the concrete out, we're going to pull out where the soft surfacing is. So there are actually 6 figurines where we will be cutting off the water so that those don't spray. And we had discussed that previously, so all the water will be basically just tied to the art piece. So those will be on the border of the fencing because they're outside, but we're not going to be spraying outside. That could happen at a later date. We're just cutting it, we'll just be cutting it off with respect to now. So I did want to make sure to clarify that. But we thought in the end, if something like that happened, and we would leave that up to art kind of people, but we thought it could be as many as up to 8.
Okay. And just, I'm sure you're probably not aware how much that would be, one of those plaques, because I would think if we could just think outside the box, I'm just suggesting this, that the Public Arts could maybe reach out to a private individual that might want to buy something, in, not like in memory of, but a business, auto center, advertisement of some sort. I'm just kind of thinking something different.
There might be a donation kind of concept.
A donation type thing, you know, of a local business or a person, Raymond Gregory's face there, you know, I'm sure it would be awesome, you know. So I'm just thinking, but the Public Arts could work with it. I'm not crazy over the turtle and thing like that, but I think it would be a nice statement on there, so.
Yes,
But
and
you're saying we would do
and
it
Verde
plain for now, and then that would be something that would come back.
Right.
That's kind of how I felt, you know. You know how, and I'm not saying this was the idea, but how you even have on the wall, sometimes they sell those little geckos and, you know, different things like that. Not exactly like that, but, you know, something could be added, either metal or, like, I'm not an artist, so, you know, or something that where like little mosaic tiles could be added to it or something later. But for now,
going to run with this and
but
make
for
it
now,
an
we would
agenda
just
item
make
in a
it
few
plain,
months.
and then that could come back later.
One additional thing is, are these panels going to be straight, or are they going to be in the shape of the circle?
The round, what we have today.
So they're going to be circular. They're not. We're not going to be able to see. It's not going to be a rectangular shape or a square.
We intend to go with what is there with the roundness of what is happening with the soft surfacing today because it is round.
Oh, okay.
Not, and when I said in the shape of today we've got with the temporary thing, so it'll be better.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's do color.
So I am hearing option number 2,
with plaques.
42 inches with the opportunity for growth later, tied to the art plaque kind of thing.
What do you mean opportunity for growth later?
Because that would be so Mayor, our intention was to be able to do this so that we wouldn't so that we would not slow things up with respect to including the art folks, because we want to have it happen, and then that could be an initiative through the Arts Commission at a later date.
That would be a separate item that would go on, place on later.
And if it's true art, back to the previous presentation, that potentially would come out of the Art and Public Places Fund versus it would not come out of the general fund, which is what Ann outlined with the $10,000, $20,000, and $30,000 components of the $60,000 annual budget.
Okay. Council, good? Good.
Yes.
Good. All right, Kevin, let's go on to color.
Okie dokie, smoky. So as I said, these are 12 of the 20. You know, from a staff standpoint, we'd like to at least give you a little input, but it's all about, you know, what you come up with. So this is kind of like, if you remember the old Hollywood Squares, but we have 12 instead of 9. So if you look at the middle row, those are good colors from a standpoint that the middle row are not dark. They will not necessarily fade as fast. And then from a maintenance standpoint, from a cleaning standpoint, wiping down or whatever, there won't be as much drama as what could be up above or down below. So that middle row is good. And the left side to include the earth yellow and possibly even the eggplant. So if you just look at the middle row and the left column, from a staff standpoint, those would be ones. The other ones we can do, we can tie back to the city colors up above with respect to the purple. The purple, is, so that you know, is high maintenance and they fade. They're tough puppies. And then down below, some of those are tough too, like the dark green, I don't even know how to Feldgrau, I'll guess, Cordovan. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it, but you all can run with any color you so desire.
Councilmember Gregory, please.
All right, so I know the way I've heard the Diablo, or it's actually, I don't think there is a Diablo on there. I see a D1AB60. I assume that's what people are calling Diablo.
Oh, I see, got it.
Because I had to look several times. No, it does not.
Do you want the earth yellow?
Read it letter by letter, read it. Read it letter by letter.
Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Right.
No, it isn't Diablo.
You went with the, yes.
You know, government, devil, all of that.
No, but when you tied back to that, I knew you were up there with that.
Yep.
So I think for a fence, a neutral color is good. I don't think that, I mean, that's a neutral color for the wall because that's what the wall of City Hall is painted, but I think it would look funny on the fence, frankly, if you're looking past it to the wall. So I think, I would stay with a more of a tannish color. So if you were looking at the center, then beaver.
Are you looking at beaver?
Now I'm looking past the lobby here, and I see some kind of a green railing. Do we use that all around City Hall? Is that not durable?
It's fine. That's a darker though. So that is closer. That's closer to the Feldgrau. Right. But so that emerald green could be potential. We've heard saffron has potential because of the outside of our City Hall and what you see as a primary color there. And from a distance standpoint, that could be an option.
I'm talking about more neutrals like browns or. Because you're getting back into the pastels now, and that's why I'm saying, well, you've got all of that in the fountain. So to me, don't do that on the fence.
Well, please don't shoot me. Beaver is numero uno at the Kennel Club. That's probably your safest bet, is beaver. But earth yellow, not the Diablo, is very close to that and then what would happen is from a concrete standpoint, based on this choice, then the concrete vendor, because it's mixing in, we're staying away from this painting concrete kind of stuff because if you notice with all these rains we've had, it's a hazard. From a risk management standpoint, you can fall easily. I can attest to that. So we don't need that kind of thing happening. So whatever we end up here, then we would do a complement that would end up being a little bit lighter because of the mixing with the concrete.
So if I'm sitting at the fountain today and I look towards City Hall, I see railing. I see railing up here on the top. So why would we not match the same color as the railing that's in City Hall?
You could, and we could. That would not necessarily equal a color there, but it could be close to. That would be less dark than the, if that's lighter than the Feldgrau.
Okay, because I see you have 12 colors in front of us, but those aren't the only 12 colors that are used here at City Hall.
And our
I say, I'm looking past you, and I see railing, and it's green, and I know there's some railing up here. I think it's green also.
It is.
It would seem to me that we would use the same for down there to match the rest of City Hall. And then later, if art pieces were added or those types of things.
So that would be a compliment, and we would match that as close as possible. And it's not as light, so there's going to be a little bit of maintenance, but, I mean, not the purple maintenance
No.
that we have.
But you already have it. Here's what I'm saying. You already have it, so, in maintaining it, so unless you're going to change it on the rest of City Hall, then you could go with this emerald, and then all of City Hall would be emerald, but it seems kind of funny to me that you put in this railing and then it doesn't match the railing that you look right past it that's in City Hall. I would suggest we match.
And that's fair. We maybe it was the wrong decision, went with the colors in the art piece. That was the focus here. But that's a good recommendation. We can run with that.
All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Gutierrez, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Well, when it comes to colors, I always walk out of the house mismatched. So I'm not the best guy here. Now, I love art as well, as you probably don't know. But I think that I agree with Councilmember Gregory, what he's saying. But I think this actually is something that we should allow the Public Arts Commission to actually decide, because these colors, they can all look great, but when you go out there and you actually, like you mentioned, you see all the colors and all the different art pieces, all the sculptures, and you put them up and you actually see the difference, how would this look versus this, whether it's a cock or whatever it is, whatever animal there is, there's many different colors. But when you hold the samples, I think you'll be able to actually pick a better color than we are right now, because we can only go by what we see. But when you're there physically, you can actually make a better decision. So as for myself, I think we should actually allow the Public Arts Commission to make this decision. That's my take.
Councilmember, the only thing I don't know is what Kevin's timeline is. The Arts Commission just met last night, and so won't be meeting until next month. And so I don't know if that holds up your schedule at all.
That will hold up having this completed by the end of May.
So that was the only thing I just wanted to add.
I mean, parts 1 and parts 2, and tied to the concrete, we can measure and make sure that we leave the appropriate spacing for fencing tied to that. And then we can run with those two. But then if we then tie back to color, and that works to be able to do that, then for the fencing, that will just push out that timeline. And I'm sorry we didn't think of the arts.
If we just paint it to match right now, later when the Arts Commission hopefully is looking at if there's some other art piece they want to do there, they can also recommend colors at the time. It's just paint. It could be repainted at that time if there's art pieces added in the future. The only difference I see, you've come to us with trying to choose colors, which again is a big mistake for a city council in my opinion. And now you're talking about then you're going to match the paver colors to it. So again, that's why I would just match everything to what you already have here at City Hall as far as like railing, and then if you need to match paver colors to that, then you're okay. And then later, if the Arts Commission has some suggestion for a different color for that, it could be repainted.
Did I not read you were powder coating that?
Yes, so I just want to clarify, when you say paver colors, I think of paver bricks, and we are not doing paver bricks. We are doing concrete.
So you're talking about stain, but I believe you were calling it paver or the paving or something.
Powder coated is what is the paint that will be on the fence.
I got you, but then you're not even just asking us for fence, because now you're talking about a coordinating color on the concrete.
So what we were tying back to with respect to, if the theme with respect to, from a color standpoint, then we would be complementary with respect to what would be mixed in the concrete rather than just gray concrete.
So let me try to help out here. It sounds to me like I think this is a good suggestion to, with the fence, paint it the color of the rails here.
Exactly.
That is not introducing anything new, and at some point when the Arts Commission whether it's 1 year from now or 5 years from now, decides to put some art in there, then they would make the decision about, is that still going to work with that color or whatever. And then on the concrete, you would mix that color in, probably a little bit lighter, because you're going to want to have a little bit of contrast from the fence down to that. So it's going to be something more like, well, it wouldn't be all the way to the emerald, because that's putting...
Correct.
But it would be sort of a mixture of the concrete in with the railing color, which would lighten it up a little bit and give you some contrast there.
Right.
Charlie, can we call a special meeting for the public arts to actually go out there?
We could.
Because that would be a very simple thing for them to decide, because powder coating is a special process that it will last a lot longer when you paint it that way. It will last years. But when you do it with a brush or with a spray mechanism, it's not the same. It will not last as long as it would if it's powder coated. So I believe that if council is in agreement with allowing the public arts to do it, just call for a special meeting and have them decide. I'm for that. I don't know about the rest of the council.
I think we're just overthinking this a little bit too much. I think council pretty much agreed either on the Diablo or the Saffron, which matches the building, and I don't have a problem moving forward in the matter of time, as Ann spoke. They want to keep moving on this and delay this and then put more thought into it. They might send it back to us. I would rather make a decision here, Councilmember Gutierrez. If council agrees with you, then I'll go along with it, but I'd like to hear, should we just move forward?
Well, okay, that's not what we agreed to. I didn't agree to the yellow fences. What I said is we should match it to the railings that we already have, especially those that are on the front of City Hall, so that
What is that, black up there? Or?
I think it's green. I think it's similar to
It's
this.
like this, sir.
Okay.
It's like this.
And I agreed with Councilman Gregory about having it consistent with what we already have. I personally think the Fountain of Life is just a remarkable art piece, and even long-term, I wouldn't want to do anything that competes with that. I think that is just an extraordinary, and that's kind of our logo on our government access channel. That's the first thing you see, and it's extraordinary. I've been around to all the other cities, and we have a really special, wonderful thing. So I like the fact that this doesn't compete with it at all, and that long-term, if the Arts Commission thinks of something else that they would like to highlight, that would be great. Thank you.
And just to throw this out tied to the powder coating for Councilman Gutierrez, what we could also look at doing is, if we go with this alternative of this matching this color, we could just paint it rather than doing the extra powder coating, because it's more industrial strength and longer lasting. And if something happened later, where there was something through the Arts Commission to come up with something later, then maybe be more industrial strength. That could be an option. We'll research that, but I think that could be an option to keep it simple, stupid, to follow that kind of principle, to at least get it, painted and see if it works. And then if there's a decision later, that could be an option to just paint it and not do extra special.
Maintain it and then eventually sandblast it.
So what is the color of the concrete going to be then?
Well, I think I heard to complement, I'm pointing here, to complement the green in with the concrete to be that would end up with a lighter green, that would be a complementary green. Or you could be truly safe, this is the desert, and you could tie back to the concrete having a mix of like the earth yellow or the beaver, which would complement potentially almost any color that the fencing might be later. The goal was not to just provide plain concrete, because that might be just a little too boring.
I agree.
Okay, so we're going with the green.
So this kind of green, which is kind of close to the Feldgrau,
Okay.
but it's probably a bit lighter. We'll target this kind of green for the fencing. Then from a concrete standpoint, is it the green mix-in an option, or do you like the beaver kind of option or the earth yellow option?
I would go earth yellow. Anybody? Yeah, that's,
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think it needs to be green just because the fence is green.
right.
And are you able to actually powder coat it instead of paint it? And can you reach back out and get that color to where we could do that?
Do you mean powder coat this?
The fence.
Oh, we
Fence.
can.
Yes, okay.
We
And
can.
the-
I was just offering that. I was just throwing that up, ma'am, just as if it might, depend upon what could happen later.
Now we're good.
Kevin, you think you got your marching orders there?
I think,
Yes.
so I have one
Yes,
final
yes,
question.
we do. We're gonna-
I heard beaver, I saw a head shake on beaver, and I heard an earth yellow. So I just want to make sure from the concrete standpoint.
Okay, I'm going yellow. Anybody?
Ella.
Yep.
I heard earth yellow.
Okay.
Going once, going twice.
Charlie?
Yeah, we'll match the city hall railing on the fence. We'll do the earth yellow mixing in with the concrete, and it'll be beautiful.
It'll be nice. It'll be beautiful. We did it. This council did it. Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you
The
very
council's
much.
through.
I believe that
Thank-
that was the end.
Yeah. City
Okey-doke.
clerk, do we have anyone to comment?
Mayor, we do not have any requests to speak at this time.
Okay, thank you. And then we're going to go on to the discussion of the council meeting schedule. Mr. City Manager, do we have a staff report?
All right, with you all, I'll just do this from here. I didn't put it on slides because I'm just going to follow what's in your staff report. I identified 4 options for you that gives you a break ranging from 4 weeks up to 7 weeks. I worked around the July 24th meeting. We need to have that one. That's when you'll be referring the question to the voters. So none of these options vacate that meeting. I would recommend that you try to avoid the ones that vacate meetings at the end of June. The last meeting of the fiscal year, you have a lot of contract awards and things that run with the fiscal year. That would be a hard one. We can make it work if that's what you want to do. So my recommendation, if you want a 5-week break, is option 1, which you just vacate August 14th. Because July has 5 Wednesdays anyway in the calendar this year, that gives you a 5-week break. You would meet on July 24th and then not again till August 28th. If you want a longer break, then option 3 gives you 7 weeks. That would vacate both August meetings. You would meet on July 24th and then not again till September 11th. That gives you a 7-week break. And there's other variations on that, and one of your colleagues already suggested one where we just do 1 meeting in July and 1 meeting in August, and they don't have to be together, and you could have 2 separate. That would work as well. So I think I'll stop with that and really let you all opine on this, because we'll make it work whatever you decided to do.
Councilman Gregory.
All right. So I always like to take a summer break myself, and I know most of the local governments, cities, and others do. I used to work with one of them, and I thought what they did was actually worked out best, because, as has been pointed out, when you take a long, first of all, you don't really want to take off a June meeting because you're plowing to the end of your fiscal year, and inevitably something comes up and you need to have a special meeting or something. So I've never seen that work very well. But once you get into the new fiscal year, everything's switching over. And usually what you want to do is you want to have some time off around the 4th of July so that you can take a early July trip. But then what I also see is people want to have time off around Labor Day. Those are the 2, other than the Memorial Day, which is, again, is really a May holiday. This is when you get to the summer, you have the 4th of July and you have Labor Day. So what I've seen other governments do is they'll take that first meeting after the 4th of July off. So for us, that would be July 10th. So that would give us a break for our last meeting being June 26th, and then we wouldn't come back till July 24th. So basically, you get a month there just by taking the 1 meeting off. But then also taking off the August 28th meeting, because then you would meet the once in July, and then you would meet again in mid-August.
28th?
But then if you took the 28th off, you have a nice long break around Labor Day, which is the 2nd of September, so you wouldn't come back till the 11th. So my recommendation was we at least consider taking those 2 days off, and it would give us a nice big envelope of time off around the 4th of July and the same around Labor Day.
Yeah,
So we would vacate July 10th, and we would vacate August 28th.
28th or
So we
24th? Or 14th?
28th.
So ostensibly, we'd be off from June 27th to July 24th?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then,
And then we would have 2 meetings in their normal process. We'd have July 24th, and then we would have August 14th, and then we would have another break. So that gives you two summer breaks around the holidays.
we can't shut down on the 14th? That would give us from the 24th to the 28th. Is that too long?
You could, but that doesn't help you with Labor Day. So typically what I saw is people wanted to have like a late summer holiday, where they would have some time around
So then,
Labor Day, because Labor Day is the 2nd of September.
what was the second tranche?
August 28th, we would be off July 10th and off August 28th. And meet all the other regular scheduled
So
meetings.
that's one meeting July, one meeting August, 2 June.
Right.
Then back to work September.
And typically I think that works good with the city because things, even though they're starting the fiscal year, things do come up in both of those months, but you still have probably busy but not killer agendas. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Gutierrez?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's a great idea. The only other suggestion that I have is to actually vacate June 12th. That way, we'll actually have a meeting each and every month until September.
You say June 12th?
Yes. And we'll have a meeting June 26th, July 24th, and August 14th. Every city that I know of in the desert, they only have a meeting once a month, and if there's something pressing, they do have a special meeting. They call a special meeting if there's something important, and they'll take care of that then. But I think if we actually have a meeting in June, July, and August, we will have plenty of time for staff to catch up to all the work that they fall behind, and also we can give them plenty of time to catch up and actually complete, if possible, the InterGov, which with our meetings, it takes a lot of time from staff to work on that. So maybe by doing so, we can allow them to catch up and actually possibly finish it.
Okay.
Ernesto, can you give me those dates?
Vacate June 12th.
So the last meeting we'd have would be on May 22nd?
June
May
26th.
22nd, then you go to
May 22nd.
June 26th.
Is that what you're saying? So from May 22nd to June 26th?
Yes.
And then from 26th to the 24th.
I was just going to say and actually that now allows a nice big cushion of time around Memorial Day, which would take care of having time off around all 3 of the holidays. So, but city management will have to talk about whether they think they can squeeze all the business in there.
Would that put you in a bind?
Okay, so
I can't hear whatever.
We can do that. We plan our agendas weeks ahead. What it will mean,
Hold on, I'm hearing 2 people talking here.
sorry.
We're all, yeah.
All right, Charlie got the floor.
We can do that. We plan our agendas weeks ahead. There are always things that get added at the last minute because something comes up. We're used to dealing with that. Vacating one each month just means you'll have 3 meetings with probably more agenda items than what we typically have because we'll be compensating for that. But that does give you then a break around all 3 of the holidays, Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day.
Okay, Raymond, why don't you take the lead on this and tell Charlie what you think that we're discussing here. You got it. In addition to what your plan add, Councilman?
Sure. So now we've got all the holidays, summer holidays covered. So the proposal is that we would vacate the scheduled meeting, council meeting on June 12th, on July 10th, and on August 28th, still retaining one regular meeting during each month. And then, of course, as always, a special meeting could be called if absolutely necessary.
Charlie, is that acceptable for you and staff, and you think?
Yes, I think that's fine. And if you'd like, what we'll do then is have the city clerk prepare, the necessary notices. That'll be done before each meeting that you vacate, the necessary meetings, the necessary notices, so that we stay within the law.
Okay. Okay, I think we have a plan there. Thank you, city clerk. Do we have anyone to comment?
The only one I'm
Oh, hold on.
Mayor, we did not receive any requests to speak on this item.
Okay. Council Member Ross? Here, speak onto the,
Okay, the only thing I'm not understanding is the August time off. So we vacate,
The 28th.
so we're here from the 24th of July, we vacate the 14th, and we're back on the 28th?
no, we have the 14 in August. We vacate the 28th.
Oh, we're vacating the 28th, okay. All right, I've got it now. Yep.
Okay, I think we have that.
And we'll reflect that on your future agenda items list so that you'll see those as vacated.
Got it.
We might need daily reminders.
Okay, this is a presentation only for discussion and direction only. There's no formal action required. Meeting is adjourned.
Good job, you guys, on figuring that out. Cool. No kidding.